Welcome to Unpacked, a COVID-19 inspired video interview series where I get the stories behind my favourite new songs. For this episode, I speak to Eliza from Eliza and The Delusionals about their massive single, Just Exist. We talk about how this single that was released just about 1 year ago changed the game for the band. They got all this attention from the US and Canada, which ended up in a tour, which just recently got cut short due to COVID-19. We talk about that tour. We talk about how the song did feel a little bit different when they first wrote it and then how it evolved into what it was. So I hope you enjoy. Welcome, Eliza. How are you going?
Hello, I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm very good, yes. Sitting in my living room again. It's it's a beautiful day, so it's good to be in isolation but connecting.
Yes, that's true.
Speaking of that, what's been keeping you busy during isolation?
A lot of writing. We find that there's a lot more time to write now than we expected to have this year, which is really nice in some ways. Definitely been rearranging things at home as well. We've been trying to do like our studio setup for a while, so we're finally getting stuck into that. And just trying to I guess do things and pick up things that we haven't had a chance to over the last year or so. So I guess it's kind of bittersweet.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's good. I suppose after a little while you catch up on everything and then you got nothing to do. So
yeah,
I reckon that's
so true.
starting to happen now. Hey, it's like I've done all my things.
Yeah, I think so many people that I've spoken to are just like at the point where they're like, I've run out of things to do and I haven't seen my friends and you know what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, well, I saw there's been a couple of activations you and the band have been doing online, like performance stuff. I saw you play at the Gold Coast Music Awards the other day, and there was something else I saw on your feed that's coming up too. It looks exciting.
Yeah, I think like the live stream concerts have been a really good idea.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Yeah, it's been cool. But I mean, we do what we can. So we're here to talk about Just Exist, the huge single of yours that was pretty much released 1 year ago, almost to the day. So are you ready?
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, exactly. So are you ready to go unpack this song with me today?
Yes, I'll do my very best to.
Let's do it. Cool. All right. Well, I mean, the first thing that I suppose we can talk about has to be how the song blew up, and maybe you could talk us through that process of the international radio stations and all, how that all led to 2 million Spotify plays and a US tour and all that. So can you give us a bit of a rundown of that?
Yeah, definitely. We didn't know anything like about it happening. Like it kind of just happened one day. So like all of a sudden we're getting all these comments from people being like, oh my God, can't wait for you guys to tour US. Like we've always had them like here and there, but I was like, this, like something's happened. Like there's so much going on. And we called our manager and I was like, I don't know, like maybe you could like investigate this because like there's so much like attention now all of a sudden. And it turns out that the music director and one of the hosts from Sirius XM over there, Alt Nation, it's like a huge station I hadn't even heard about.
Is it like one of the Triple J's over there or something like that? Like I did a bit of looking into it. I hadn't heard of it until I kind of was reading through the press release for the single, and what's it like?
Well, it took a little bit for me to understand because their radio is so much different. So Sirius XM is like, imagine like Sirius XM is the Spotify, and then all of like Alt Nation and a couple of other stations are like the playlist sort of thing. It's kind of like Sirius XM's like the blanket, and then it's got all these like substations that like Alt Nation and then a couple of other ones. Like I think it's kind of genre specific as well, so you can kind of get like it's more like detailed to what you like, I suppose. But Alt Nation's one of the biggest ones on there, which is really cool. So they do like once I noticed Sirius XM, I noticed it like I see it everywhere. Like they do like Hangout Festival and like a whole other bunch of festivals over there and stuff like that. So it's really crazy. And we have an American friend as well, and she was like, you have to understand like how much of a big deal this is. And we're like, we have no idea, because like obviously we've never listened to American radio sort of thing. But yeah, it's like kind of automatically in all of the new cars over there and that sort of thing, like on the screens and everything. So I think you have to have like a paid membership. I don't fully understand it, but I know that Alt Nation is a really great station. When Kurt and I were in New York in December before the tour sort of happened, we went for a holiday, and then it kind of turned into a trip for like music, because yeah, it just like, it turned out that the host, Jeff Regan, heard Just Exist on Triple J, which would have been like the midnight hours, like
Whoa.
No one would have even been on, like, which is crazy. Because we had it on low rotation, I think. So it would have just been like out of the blue, and he liked it and put it on like full rotation on their station. That's what I believe happened, like from my understanding of it. And then yeah, he just really liked it, and we were so lucky to go meet him when we're in New York, and do some stuff in the studio, and like it was really surreal. It was crazy. So yeah, it kind of just happened, and like we were sitting back like watching it happen in like the YouTube and Instagram, Facebook comments of all these people, like, and all of our followers sort of going up and the streams going up and that sort of thing. And like everyone from our band and from our label and stuff, we were all like, this is so random. And then all the tour offers came in after that. So yeah, we were like really overwhelmed in a good way.
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely want to dig more into the song itself and unpack it, but this is a really interesting chat about, you know, the way that you guys were positioned at that time to receive that much attention, because, you know, you'd already gained a fair bit of traction as an Australian band, and especially one of the bigger bands on the Gold Coast. So you guys performed at Big Sound a few times, and you already had some pretty solid management and interest. So almost it was the perfect time for you to go. You had the right team behind you, and then it just blew up, and it was like, okay, let's go. Like that's
yeah, it kind of felt like that. Like I look back on it and I'm like, if this happened a year earlier, I don't know if I'd be mentally ready for something like that, because it was a lot and it was very expensive and it was really stressful getting it done. I think that that's something that a lot of artists don't get told, and that's probably why when they get the chance to tour overseas, they kind of go, well, how am I actually going to afford to do that? Because it's definitely not cheap. And yeah, it's crazy. Like it's a really like stressful process getting a working visa. Like we had to miss out on the first show with Silver Sun Pickups because we couldn't get our visa. Tex was waiting in the office in Sydney like all day, and he's like, can we please have them? And he had to stay a night and pick him up the next day so we could go. It was wild.
And then, like, I mean, we can just lead straight into this tour. Like, so the song blew up pretty much in the US and Canada, and you guys got heaps of love from radio, and you got that Silver Sun Pickups support. And then did you get a really late addition to South by Southwest, like while you were kind of already planning the trip? Yeah. So you're already, and then kind of had dramas getting over there, and then 15 shows in, COVID-19, see you later, you have to go home, man.
I know. It's like out of everything we planned for that could have possibly have gone wrong, we just didn't expect a global health pandemic. You know what I mean? It was crazy. And like, I think it was just so like devastating, obviously, besides the fact that, you know, a lot of people were affected by it. But it was just crazy because we had spent pretty much all of last year like saving and gearing up for this, and like being like, you know, like we've got to do whatever we can. And like we had the Alt Nation tour. That was like the first thing that was even going to take us over to the States. And we didn't even get to do that. So luckily we did get to, like, we did say yes to the Silver Sun Pickups tour. Like obviously we wouldn't say yes to that. Amazing. But we like found out about it, and then we were like, okay, I don't know how we're going to afford it in the time frame, but we're just going to make it work. We're just going to sell everything we own, which we did. We don't have a car, and we sold a bunch of our guitars as well. So it was wild. But I guess we're sort of just sitting here going like, at least like it's not just us, it's everyone that's being affected. And like, you know, we just have to try and stay positive. And yeah, it was really weird because we really wanted to go to South by as well. Like we had heard so much about it, like the whole lead up. Even some pickups were like, oh my god, it's so fun, you guys are gonna have the best time, like gonna meet these people. And yeah, it was a real big letdown.
Yeah, I suppose was for everyone, and yeah, you just got to keep it rolling with the punches. But yeah, that's such an interesting story. And I mean, talking about Just Exist, it was that song that led to all of that. I mean, obviously you guys have a lot of great music, but that was the turning point, and that's why I really wanted to chat about this track. So let's actually talk about the track. I've got a couple of questions. I mean, what was the writing process? Did you start acoustically, or was it a band track? How did it start?
Yeah, most of the songs up until sort of recently, most of the songs have just been from either like in my little room, just playing acoustic guitar or playing just like soft electric guitar. Because I just find it is so much easier to write just like basic, like really stripped back. And I just remember sort of sitting in the lounge, like just messing around and like hearing that first like chord, and I was like, that's really cool. And then like it kind of just turned into like, it kind of just played itself into that riff, and I was just like, this is like my favorite thing. And then the song just kind of came, like the melodies kind of just came from there, and especially like that ending bit, it just felt like it needed to go there after a whole song of kind of staying the same. Yeah, which was kind of different for what we had written at the time, what we had released. And I felt like it was definitely like the next step, you know, like in the songwriting for band and stuff. So
did it feel different? Like obviously all of the traction it got when you wrote it, did you know or have a feeling it was going to go so well, or was it like, oh, this is just another song that we've written type thing?
I like, for me, I knew, and I know that like Kurt feels the same way about this as well, because we talked about it. But we both knew that it was going to be like, well, for us, we were like, hopefully this is the one that takes it there, because like it's, to us, it's our favorite, you know what I mean? Like we just get so excited by it. But when we first released it, like we didn't kind of get the response we expected, I suppose. Like we kind of got knocked back a little bit by Triple J, and then eventually got put on. Like we had so much support from Unearthed, but actually getting it on rotation sort of thing was not something that happened straight away. And then we were like, that's okay though, because we love the song, and like we put out music because we love writing music and like, you know, that sort of thing. And then the Alt Nation thing happened, and we were like, oh my God. We were like, okay. Yeah, it was really wild.
Yeah, it is. It's so interesting. I think the way the world's so interconnected now that you can make a connection with anyone, and you guys really didn't. In the lead up to this interview, like I had heard the song a lot, but I'd listened to it a fair few times, and it just gets stuck in your head. It is for me. It is one of those songs that is just like kind of one in a million. So I can understand why that.
Oh, thank you.
No worries. The radio producer tweaked, you know, and thought this is great. So that's interesting. So you kind of said that you wrote it acoustically, but I feel like it turned into a band track big time, the way that it's kind of finished, you know, like I want to play a bit of the guitar part, and for me, I reckon that your vocal, the way that your vocal builds and the guitar builds really kind of are kind of the main parts of the track as to why it kind of builds so well. So I'll just play a part and let me know if you can hear this. So this is... So that guitar part into the muting stuff. Yeah, so for me, that guitar part kind of has this kind of sad slide part around the verse, and then in the pre-chorus it has that kind of muted chugging stuff, and there's the parts that the guitar follows your vocal melody. It's really interesting that you wrote it acoustically, and then the guitar kind of came in over the top and just kind of lifted it to that band song.
Yeah, well, because I didn't imagine it being an acoustic song, but I just like
Yeah.
it's just when I wrote it, it's like because when I was writing the melodies and stuff, it was just that main riff and then like the da-na-na-na sort of part as well, just so I could sing with it.
Yeah.
So having those like extra bits that just kind of developed in rehearsal and like playing the song and like getting to know the song and like getting to know where things can go. That's sort of where they came from, which I really loved them. I think they like really make those like bits
Me
important.
too, yeah. That, I mean, yeah, apart from the song itself and the way that it's written and those kind of, yeah, interesting different parts, the guitar really gels it all together. So, yeah, well done to Kurt. He couldn't make it today,
Thank you.
but yeah, and the
Yeah.
band, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, so,
Yeah.
and the other key part that I wanted to point out, which leads into the part that I just played or out of it and really just demonstrates where the track goes to. So that part that I played is at the very start of the song and it's quite mellow. And I'll play this next part. Yeah, so that's coming from that lower vocal range and then hitting that high part at the end. And the way that the whole band develops to that last chorus, that just brings it really home. So, yeah, that, I mean, really that just, for me, kind of explains how much of a band track it became. And it's just an impressive part. Did the original acoustic part have that change, or was that a band thing that you developed?
When it was being written, I definitely like, I guess when you write a song, you like some parts you can just feel it needs to go somewhere, like it needs to go to this or it needs to have that. And writing that, it was kind of like getting past that sort of interlude part, and it was like it just need like it can't just do the same thing. Like it needs to go to that next. It just needs to go to like full
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like you could like it definitely is something you could feel that it needed to go to, like
Sure.
um even like in rehearsal, if I've been trying to rest my voice or wasn't feeling well and like I've just sung it
Yeah.
rehearsing it low, I'm like if it stayed like this it just wouldn't have been the same, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, oh, definitely. It really developed. The memorable tracks are the ones that have those huge endings. And yeah, you did well with that. So yeah, yeah, just wanted to point out what
Thank you.
some of my favorite parts of the song. Like, I suppose the last thing I want to chat about is the lyrics, and feel free to go as deep or not as you like into the lyrical content. But I understand that it was kind of written about a depressing or a sad experience that inspired you to write a song like this. And yeah, just some brief words on the lyrics would be great, so I can get some context too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty much it. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of was not in like a great mental headspace, and I just felt like it was kind of really interesting how that sort of feeling inspires creativity and that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
I don't think definitely don't have to like, it's not that sadness and creativity go hand in hand. Like that's not what I mean, but it's like it's just my experience of what happened and like how I felt about it, and that sort of thing. So I think like a lot of people take it as like a love song as well, which is really cool. Like I guess it's kind of portrayed as like this weird connection with that, those two things. So but a lot of people are like, this reminds me of like my partner and this reminds me of this, and like which is really cool. I think it's like a song that a lot of people have put their own context to, which I think is really important.
Yeah,
So,
definitely. And that's good work on I always think not going too deep into the meaning of a song is great in terms of leaving it up to the listener. It might be about it might be about that person's partner.
Yeah, 100%. And that's what I think, that's what I think is the coolest thing about songwriting, is that everyone can have their own. Like the amount of times I've connected to a song in a way and then I've actually read what it's about, I'm like, whoa, that's like not what I thought, but I think it's really cool.
Just reminded me of an interesting song that me and my wife wanted to have performed at our wedding. It was Vows by Kimbra. And
I love that. Yeah.
It's such a great song, right? And Sahara Beck performed at our wedding. We were so lucky, but she kind of said to us, it was like in the church type thing, and it was like, do you know that's a sarcastic song about getting married? It's like, because I hadn't watched the video, and I kind of watched the video and then I listened to the lyrics. I'm like, yeah, that's probably not the right song to be playing in the church because it's all sarcastic.
So funny.
I took it literally. But yeah,
that's so good.
So look, looking at the way that Just Exist was inspired and how this time right now is pretty flat. Are you, in terms of COVID and maybe being a little bit flat, does that inspire these kind of songs? Because I know that that's kind of an inspiration for you. Is that kind of feeling? Is stuff coming out?
Sometimes, yeah. Like I definitely think that the whole time we did, like the whole 2 months we did get to spend in America was really inspiring, and I guess the whole situation. So I'm still kind of riding off that, I suppose. But yeah, I think it depends on the day, because I think Kevin Parker explained it really good in an interview once, but it's like a song's like a feeling, and when you're like having that feeling, that's like when I don't know how he said it, but that's kind of when you're writing. So it's like, you could pick up a song and start writing it because you feel this way, and you might not touch it until you feel that way again. Which I think is so true, because like I feel like you can't be writing about something like happy or exciting or like a feeling of elation if you're feeling upset or disappointed. You know what I mean? It's like, so I think it's been like a big mix of that, because it's just so weird, and it's the whole like isolation thing's been going on for so long now. It's just like, it's weird.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I will keep writing like that, because they're my favorite kind of songs, the ones that kind of come from this darker place and potentially bring a bit of a light onto things, and they're open for interpretation. So yeah, hopefully you can get those feelings and create another Just Exist.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you.
Cool. Well, that's kind of all we got time for today. I really appreciate you joining me from your house today. And
of course.
Some of those questions I've been waiting to ask for a while, so I'm glad you answered them for me.
Of course. Well, my inbox is always open, so if you have any more.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, that's what I say after a few of the episodes, that we can just chat for hours afterwards.
Yeah, so true.
Cool. Okay, well, thanks for joining me, and catch you later.
Yeah, thank you. Take care.
See ya.
Okay, and that was the third episode of Unpacked. Thank you for joining me. Bye.